talking about the entire tournament, of course, every Indian fan was disappointed with the result. It wasn't just about us losing all three games, but not even scoring one goal or being able to string five passes together in the opposition half or creating meaningful attacks. I think that was what disappointed us more than the results. I mean, going into the tournament, we have talked about, all of the opponents being much higher ranked than us. It would be difficult to beat them, but what mattered to us was more of the performance, the intent, which I think in the game against Australia, you could argue that we went in with a good game plan depending on the results for the next two games. But against Uzbekistan and against Syria, both, we lacked that intent. We lacked any proper attack. We lacked any proper game plan. And I mean, at the end of the day, you could blame it on Stimac, you could blame it on AIFF, you could blame it on the players. But what or who suffered were the Indian fans. And I saw an statistic of the attendance, which was like for the match against Australia, around 36,000 Indian fans were present. Then for against Uzbekistan, it was around 38,000. Then against Syria, it went up to around 42,000. So with every match, the attendance was increasing, but ironically, the performance of the team was degrading. And you could talk like Syria, talking specifically about Syria, they are not unbeatable like Australia or Uzbekistan. Like they were like difficult to beat. They were better than India, but they were not unbeatable. So the performance was really disappointing because we had only one shot on target. We didn't even make like a proper attacking move in that game, and Syria aren't even like a pretty difficult opposition to beat. So yeah, I mean, talking about the performance of the entire tournament, I am pretty much disappointed from both Stimac and the players as well.
Also, our 2-0 defeat to Australia now looks a bit, what's the word? Not very impressive because Uzbekistan drew with Australia and Syria just lost 1-0. So that tells you that we were the weakest side in the group. It was a tough group, but we were, I mean, and coming to a lot of comments, some are very negative, saying that how are we the worst team in the Asian Cup? And even Hong Kong lost all of their games, but our goal difference is still worse. And a lot of them then saying that we didn't get that much preparation, we didn't get that much time to play together. But then my point is that we never actually expected the Indian team to win against Australia or even Uzbekistan. All we hoped for is a draw against Uzbekistan, and I would have preferred how we played against Australia. We play the same way against Uzbekistan, not really open up, because we know that they are kind of a strong team. We needed that 1 point so that going against Syria, we have that chance. And because the fixtures lined up in such a way that when you are playing your biggest match in the Asian Cup, which was always going to be against Syria, because that was your chance of winning the game, and you could have had 4 points then. You already played Australia and Uzbekistan, so it was like a preparation for that game, right? So I felt that the performance was not up to the mark. I think, sure, in the beginning stages we were playing them toe to toe, but then our defense losing the balls, and that tells you a lot about again the development. What kind of development have we done is we can string a bunch of passes together, and that's great. I think Stimac has also brought in a lot of changes. But when you look at winning those 50-50 in these knockout tournaments, when you don't kind of have an entire season to build your body up to it, so I think that we lack in physicality as well. We need more stronger players who can win those 50-50s. I think even the goal which we conceded against Syria was that way. We lost two tackles, which was so important. We couldn't get the ball from their feet, and then it was just even in the final third, the way their captain scored the goal, that was as if I was playing against like fourth graders and showing them my skills and how I can score goals
Yeah.
against them. So that was then. I mean, you look at Nikhil Pujari, how he was not able to clear the ball on multiple instances. So it's like you then talk about, okay, we have improved, but then other countries have improved as well. So
Yeah.
probably this team playing 4 years ago could have maybe defeated one or two sides, but since all of the countries are improving, then we are not improving at that rate, and that's what Stimac also said. He said that
And
that yeah.
yeah, so talking about what Stimac said, I also found it pretty, disappointing that Stimac after the games said that, he was satisfied watching his team create chances against sides like Australia, Uzbekistan, Syria, and that's what we need to be happy about. But I found it pretty discouraging, or what can you say? Because I mean, against Australia, even against Uzbekistan, maybe yeah, just creating chances would be the goal or would be like a pretty big achievement. But against Syria, no, because
Mm.
we even saw Iraq upset Japan, who they ended their 11 game winning streak. They even topped their group with a perfect record, and they are ranked 63rd in the FIFA rankings. Japan is ranked 17th. Compared to that difference, our difference against Syria is somewhere in the 90s, the 93rd. And then again against Uzbekistan, it's nowhere. Like, if those teams can perform, why can't we? And it's just like, against Timac even said something about the transfer values of the players compared to their opposition, which is like, I think he talked about one particular player whose value is twice as much as our starting 11, which is, I mean, it is true, but again, like, you can't keep cribbing about these reasons. You mentioned to me that yeah, you can talk about not getting a month to prepare for these games, but when you got two, like, you got enough experience, enough game time against Australia and Uzbekistan, then you were expected to go and perform against Syria, which did not happen. And that for me was one particular thing which, I mean, Stimac has never been good in the press or talking about the reality or facts, but this time it was actually time for him to
Mm.
accept that
Mm.
we were not good enough and we need improvement. Whereas talking about these things which just they are not a good sign to showcase what our level is or what we as fans should expect from our team. I don't want to see my team just create chances. I want my team to also score goals and show that intent, which was evidently missing from our performances.
Yeah, and what are those news links that you sent me about the relationship between the board and Stimac and the other thing as well? So give us that information as well.
Yeah, so basically, one thing I read was that Stimac and the AIFF president, they are not on talking terms since the SAFF Cup. The president did not even talk to our players before the Asian Cup because he did not want to continue with Stimac. But the other members of the board, they supported the Croatian, and like that is why he got an extension before the Asian Cup after the entire astrologer scandal happened. And after the games, it was reported that the AFF is not seeking a replacement for STMAC because India is on the verge. I mean, on the verge is still a pretty big statement to make, but we are we are pretty much in a good position to qualify for the third round of the FIFA World Cup qualifiers, which is the first time in our history. So they don't want to disrupt the momentum. But I also read something about STMAC being warned by the AFF to not comment on Indian football or the sports ministry without prior approval because he stated that the World Cup qualifiers had more weight than the Asian Cup. So these are some of the things that have been coming out in the press. But the one that uh, grabbed my attention the most was we had discussed about the appointment of Trevor Sinclair as the set piece coach uh, before the tournament, which was, at that time I had thought it was a pretty big, not a pretty big, but a good appointment to improve our set pieces. But it is revealed that we paid him $10,000, which is equivalent to around 8.3 lakh rupees just for 3 games. Now, this is again, in my opinion, another thing, maybe not a scandal as the astrologer scam, but a pretty useless or senseless thing to do, paying someone that much amount just for 3 games. And we didn't even see it on the pitch. We got so many set pieces, but not even one of them resulted in a shot on target or an actual goal scoring opportunity. So the board will talk to Stimac about this appointment in the meeting later in the week. But again, this just goes on to show that there are so many holes that need to be, or like gaps that need to be fixed for us to progress. Even in the World Cup qualifiers, we may be expecting a lot from the team, but given the current circumstances, I think there's a lot that needs to be done.
Also, I think that talking about the performances again, I when we were kids, I don't know if your coach told you, my coach told me, or the team rather, that stop following the ball, let the ball come to you. And as kids, we used to do that, right? That we used to kick the ball and run towards it, then someone used to tackle, then run back to get the ball, and it was just chaos. Everyone used to do that. I saw so many similarities against Syria that when we got the ball, instead of keeping calm and looking at options, our team was very eager or very overexcited to just launch a counter attack, which will never work because we are not that great counter attacking. We don't have specific players involved. Apart from Sunil Chetri, it's not like we have those players who can make those brilliant over the top deliveries or pass somewhat to the wingers. It's not happening because we don't have passing accuracy as well. Then we used to pass the ball, then run again to get the ball because there was an interception, run back to get the ball from Syrian players. And Syria actually played a very simple football. And I was surprised that we just lost by 1-0 because after that, I think we got our act together. But yeah, so I think that, I mean, looking at this, then whatever progress that we have done, it just looks like it's not really that much progress then, because football moves every 2 years. There comes a time when there's a change in the system or in the type of players that are in demand, and so I think we need to live up to that. And then the question also arises to the competitiveness of ISL. Are these clubs really is football in India really competitive that we can't even be that good against the side like Uzbekistan, which is, yes, we count them as a big nation, maybe a nation in the top 10 of, when you consider Asian countries. But should the gap exist like so much that we can't even have a 5-minute play on ourselves? We can't pass the ball from front to back, then to front again. I mean, I didn't see any time that we went to attack but failed, but then got back. The defender had the ball and then tried to attack again. So it's something that we have to really look at. And now coming to the question, should Igor Stimac be sacked or no? What do you think?
I think not really, because personally I feel that yeah, the Asian Cup campaign was pretty bad, and we all are like angry or disappointed, and we are just overreacting to it, I feel, based on the reactions which we have been seeing from fans. But looking at the larger picture, looking at the bigger picture, we do have a bit of a chance in the World Cup qualifiers, and to disrupt that entire momentum or progress right right in the middle of the qualifiers would not be a pretty wise decision to make, because any manager you bring in now, he's going to face the same problems of the national team not being able to, organize friendlies or being given enough time for preparations, or even the quality of players. Like you talked about whether the ISL has been a success or not. That is a topic to talk for another day, which could take us a lot of time to completely discuss. But overall, looking at the things which we are seeing, I think it has not impacted Indian football in a significant or a positive way that it was originally intended to. There is still time to make improvements and make the changes, but any manager you bring in right now, he's going to face the same problems as T-Mac. So I think it would be pretty much the only sensible choice would be to stick with Stimac for right now, to let this entire cycle be completed of the World Cup qualifiers. The Asian Cup is done and dusted now, but the World Cup qualifiers is our next pretty realistic chance of,
Mhm.
celebrating, getting something to celebrate as fans. So let that be completed, and then at the end of that, we can review and we can, based on those decisions or results, we can take a concrete step towards whether Stimac deserves to be sacked or not.
I think for me, it's a Mourinho Roma situation where the players look at him as a father figure. We've talked about this. I think truly passionate fans who know the Indian football history and have watched the watched the team play for a long time feel a lot more about Stimac. They feel a bit emotional with him. I think because he has been so good to even us as a media people, that he replied to us, he gave us an interview as well. So it's like I feel that he's not to be blamed, obviously, for all the things that are going wrong. So I don't think he should be sacked. I think realistically, yeah, as you said, Afghanistan winning 2 games again against Afghanistan and winning against Kuwait, these 3 games are so important for us, because if we do, we go to the third round and we don't have a chance to qualify from the third round, but we get to play 5 big games. They could be against Japan or South Korea, could be against Saudi Arabia, Qatar. We don't know, but these are going to be big games. So I think, yeah, should complete the cycle. And lastly, before going, I would like to just share one story, not a story, but I mean, I was going through the internet looking at how is football doing in Asia, because I have been complaining a lot about the sustainability of the clubs and all. But we even hear the stories from Manchester United, City, Chelsea, or even the second tier English sides, that they're not really good, doing very well financially. I looked at MLS as well, and they're saying that only 4 teams from MLS are profitable out of what they have now, 29 sort of teams now. So I mean, then does India even have a chance? Because it matters so much that our clubs do well. Because if they do well, they will invest in facilities and will get more players. So I was just reading about this Thailand case where someone like a Swedish millionaire wanted to invest in Thailand football. He wanted to have his own club, and almost all the coaches and fans of Thailand football said that there's a lot of politics there, and you can't really create a club unless you are a top 3 side. You don't earn anything out of the league. So I guess that football all around is struggling, but now is the time for our Indian fans to look at these performances of Asian Cup, look at what's all wrong. It's not just the manager or coach, it's not just the players, it's about competitiveness of the league, it's about the sustainability of the clubs, it's about the schedule, it's about how we are lining up all our leagues, from including the grassroots leagues, which are hosted in every city. So and then look at how they can be more profitable, how we can go and watch more games, what questions we need to ask the AIFF and the coach. We can't ask the coach like what is going wrong, because he only talks about the players or on the pitch, because but we know that there's a lot of things happening off the pitch. So I think it's the correct time to really rise as fans and ask the right question to right people. Otherwise, just be disappointed in every single tournament, I feel. And I think we have a very good I mean, I would say that compared to Thailand and other countries, we have such a big population, and football is going to be cheap right now. So I feel that if the league starts again, which it will, obviously, ISL, and next season is going to be for 6 months. So I think go and watch all the games. Try to ask your clubs to give you yearly passes, so that it's more cheaper, but they get more money as well. So yeah, I mean, I would like to end on this. And yeah, I think the comments have been good. I think much more sensible. So keep on commenting. If you want to ask anything, you can take my name or Vedant's name, and we will reply to you on comments. All right, Vedant, anything before we end this?
Just one statement, like it may not be that much relatable, or I don't want to be offensive maybe towards anyone, but I just wanted to say that because you pointed out the issues about football being profitable, sustainable, and whatever. So what I feel is that if war-torn countries like Syria and Palestine, who are facing much bigger issues than us, can make it to the knockout stages, We certainly can. We just need the right interest, investment, and at the end of the day, the actual, fan support to take this sport to another level, or this to take football to the level of cricket, which it's pretty much close to impossible, but just we can hope for it, and we can try just from our end to make it a reality.
Yeah, rightly said. No offense there. All right. So if you like our conversation, subscribe to the channel. We do Marathi stuff as well, regional language stuff, where we talk to kabaddi players, other sports players, which has been doing pretty well. 7,000 views. I think I should pat my back there. So go and follow The Ground Pune, The Ground podcast as well. And try to support us through the link given in the comment section. All right. Bye bye. Until next episode.